That happened. Let's plug this microphone in. Maybe the sound will be a little better. How's it going, everybody? Chuck Holton here. I'm on the Caribbean coast of Panama. You can see here, there's a dock right out there, coming and going. I'll turn the camera around here in a minute and show that to you. It's 9:43 in the morning. For those of you who are coming from a different time zone, and I got up at 2:30 this morning to drive out here, and it's about a 4 or 5 hour drive. I had to drive to Panama City, pick up some fellow journalists, and then head out here. When we were about an hour away, we stopped at a gas station right near the turnoff that goes to this, they call it a muelle, this port, and it was full of people. There were two kinds of people who were at that gas station. There were tourists that are here in Panama to enjoy the sights, to come out and enjoy the beach. You can go right out there. There are a string of islands called the San Blas Islands that are all along the shore, go all the way down to Colombia. And they are inhabited by the Guna people, the Kuna with a K or G, or Guna with a G, depends on who you ask. They are one of the 9 tribes in Panama, the indigenous tribes here. And this is their, if you want to call it a reservation, they call it comarca. It's their state. So they're kind of semi-autonomous out here, have their own laws, their own rules. You have to pay to get into the comarca. So there's a checkpoint in the road, and it's like $20 a person to get in. So that's, somebody's making money off of that. It's one of those we charge because we can kind of things. So at that gas station, there were tourists that were coming out here to visit the comarca, to go out to the San Blas Islands, to enjoy the beach and the tropical weather. I don't know why anybody would want to do that, but there's a lot of people that do. And then there were the other group, which were migrants coming from all over the globe, mostly from Venezuela, Haiti, Cuba, places like that. And they are going back home, or at least back somewhere else, because they couldn't make it into the United States. The ones that we interviewed at the gas station had made it as far as Mexico City. And when they got to Mexico City, the Trump administration came into office, they shut everything down, and that was that. They knew they weren't going to be able to get into the United States, and so they turned around and started heading back home. Now, this boat ride is a really long boat ride. Normally, these Kuna boat pilots will charge, I don't know, $30, $40 probably to take people out to the islands and back. But for $200 or $300, they'll take you all the way to Colombia. That's about a 100-kilometer trip. It's 50, 60 miles, something like that. And I'm filming me, not you. Don't worry about it. It's okay. So that's 50 or 60 miles at sea in these little boats. And this is a really uncomfortable ride. If you go out there for 20 minutes, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. It is super uncomfortable to be out on the ocean, especially in the dry season, because it's windy. You can see the flag right there that's blowing pretty stiff. The wind gets worse as the day goes on, and so right now is probably the calmest it's going to be. So when they start their journey at 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, it's not so bad headed down that way. But by the time they get down there, it's blowing like crazy. So it's a 7 or 8 hour trip by those little boats. And they're open boats. They've got a sunshade over the top or else you'd melt out there. But even with that, it's just it's extremely uncomfortable ride, very bumpy. A lot of people getting seasick. You can imagine how fun that is. And they pack those boats very full. They put maybe 20 people. Let me show you one of those boats over here. You can see that boat right there, right there. They put maybe 20 people, 22, 25 people in one of those boats, and they go on that long trip. So with all your gear, all your luggage, super uncomfortable for $200-300. But it's not near as uncomfortable as crossing the Darien Gap. And that's what they had to do to get up to the United States or up to Mexico. Had to walk over the centuries. Everything in the Gap wants to bite you, sting you, poison you, or eat you. And so it's usually about a 6-day trip through the Gap. Sometimes it got to be a little less because Alejandro Mayorkas came and, hold on. Sorry, I had to turn on Do Not Disturb. Alejandro Mayorkas came down here and brokered a deal with these same boat pilots to bring them part of the way up the coast and then drop them off and make them walk through the jungle. Why they wouldn't allow them to take the boat the entire way and get off right here and then drive from here, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense other than, and I say that, it doesn't make a lot of sense because if you did not want am I on? If you did not want migrants coming through, then you wouldn't do anything to help them make it easier, safer, cheaper, shorter, anything like that. You would keep it as difficult as possible. And by keeping it difficult, fewer people are going to attempt the trip. If you wanted them to come, then you would make it as easy as you could, make it as fast as you could, and bring them all the way here to where I'm standing. But instead, they basically split the difference. Mayorkas came and made a deal with these boat captains to allow them to bring the migrants part of the way, about 20% of the way here, and then make them walk across the jungle, over the mountains, in a safer manner than they were doing it before that. But it's still not safe, and it still took 3 or 4 days. And I think the only explanation I can come up with as to why they would have done that is so that they could maintain some sort of deniability